Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please adjust your volume to its maximum capacity and prepare for some great times. Welcome to the Blowed Out Podcast. What is up, everybody? It is your favorite fatty with a natty hair coming at you for the first episode of Season 2. Now, in all fairness, it's been a few weeks, I know. I had recorded episode 25 for last season, and then I got sidetracked. I didn't finish, and I got sidetracked. I talked a bunch about, how it was our 1 year anniversary, and it was a big deal. And then I got sidetracked, and 3 or 4 days later, I decided that it would be easier just to make a new episode rather than go back and try and edit all the dumb shit that no longer applied to the one that would have had I finished it and published it that night. But I ended up in the wee hours of the morning, and it was time to go to bed for this old fat man. So here we are. Happy birthday to us. Thank you, everyone. It means a lot to me. I want you guys to know that. I appreciate each and every one of you. 650 downloads. Over 55 cities. 3 countries. Man, you guys really, really know how to make a guy feel special. And again, I can't thank you enough. I honestly, I couldn't do it without you. Or it wouldn't make sense to do it without you. So I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you've had a good time, and I hope you'll continue to listen and tell all your friends. I'm still having a good time, and I don't intend on going anywhere. It's hard at times, and I know I've said this before. It's a lot of work. Believe it or not. I know that sounds dumb. Sounds like all you got to do is just sit your dumbass in front of a microphone and rattle on, which to a point there is that. But as you guys know, I'm my own engineer, everything. So there's a lot that goes into it. So, a 45-minute episode or 45-minute podcast generally takes about, 3 hours by the time I get done cutting and editing and going over it and, tinkle breaks and interruptions and all that kind of good jazz before it actually uploads. So, yeah, it's not easy, but I sure enjoy it. And like I said, I hope you guys are too, and I hope you stick with me. That being said, I think I know I've mentioned it before that for this next season, I really want to kind of up the content. I know these solo rambling sessions are fun, or can be, depending on what I manage to ramble on about. I think the shop sessions are usually a lot of fun. They're good for a goof. I need to apologize for that last one. We had some serious audio issues that I wasn't aware of until after the fact. And it was just really bad. So I apologize for that, guys. I hope you'll stick with me for another one. I know that the shop sessions aren't for everyone. But like I said, I think they're fun, gives you something to listen to and just kind of drone on maybe while you're working or driving. We have some laughs and are silly and talk dumb shit, but we really, really tried to nail down what happened on that last one, unbeknownst to us, because again, I am the engineer as well as the host. So everything on my screen and my meters looked fine. I was not aware that technology had failed us. This godforsaken cordless microphones that we were so excited and happy about seemed to be the problem in that last one. Again, everything looked good, just didn't sound good. So sorry about that again, kids. Anyhow, Lord, here we are, February. Can you believe it's been a year? Can you believe it's February, for Christ's sakes? That's scary in and of itself. Here in Utah, we had a little bit of we like to call it first spring. So we went through that, and it was awesome, and we hit, mid to upper 50s here in Ogden for several days, and it was awesome. And as usual, a bunch of folks probably pulled the doors or the top off their Jeep thinking that was just it. But anyone who's lived here longer than about, 12 minutes knows that is not the case. And she's back. It's been snowing and raining off and on all day. I'm not sure how it is where you are, but hopefully everybody's doing all right. Hopefully this finds everybody doing well. And moving on to second spring. During my little hiatus there, we managed to bang out a few things at the shop. I even had some sign jobs, signage. You know what I mean. That I managed to pull off while the weather was decent, so that was cool. Definitely appreciate that. But the one sign job that I'm speaking of in particular was down in Salt Lake, and that afforded me some drive time. Just me and the damn old Neurotica, the dog, to drive down to Salt Lake. And it gave me a lot of time to think about all the stuff going on. I don't have to tell you guys. It's not good. It's not terrible, but it ain't great. And anyone that's, over 20 or 25 knows that this is just how things go during an election year. Building up to the presidential election, everything goes to shit. Again, here in northern Utah, I think the day we ran down to Salt Lake, I paid $2.79, I believe, for regular unleaded. 2 days prior to that, it was, $2.49, $2.53 maybe, depending on where you went, obviously. But we are notorious for gouging, and I realize, guys, sorry, I'm not saying that as though it was a poor me. I know that a lot of you guys are paying way more than that, and I'm sorry. I can't change it. And but I understand that, we're sitting pretty good even at $2.79. It's not ideal, but I know that some of you poor guys are paying way more than that. And that's not okay either. So, when I'm bitching, it's not a poor me thing. I assure you, because it could be $6.79 or $7.79, or God forbid any worse than that if you're way up north, or in the fantastic country of California. But again, I had a lot of time to think about, again, with gas prices changing, the ridiculousness that is, the gas prices going up and down, the milk prices, the milk and eggs and groceries, there was a time, even that I recall, and granted, I recall a lot. I'll be 48 here real quick, on tax day, actually. But I recall a time, when that wasn't that wasn't a big deal. I mean, it was a big deal. Obviously, of course, it's always been a big deal, but when utilities would fluctuate, things of that nature, but we are still at stupid high rent rates. And again, that's just me bitching because that's what we're dealing with here. And I know that a lot of you, that sounds dumb again, but for a 3-bedroom in northern Utah townhouse is $2,000 a month. It's Ogden. It's not San Diego or, Redondo or I don't know, any of those highfalutin places. It's not New York. It's not Chicago. It's 45 minutes north of Salt Lake. It's literally podunk nowhere, in the grand scheme of things. Yes, I love it here. Yes, we have great stuff and we have amazing views of the mountains, and I'm 10 minutes away from, from boating and fishing, and hell, I'm 1 minute away from fishing, on the river. I mean, there's a lot to offer, but it still seems obscene that a 3-bedroom townhouse is $2,000, or hell, even a 1-bedroom studio. Granted, they're new and they're nice, but it's $1,200. Again, I realize that sounds dumb to a lot of you, depending on where you're at in the country, but in the grand scheme of things, if you were in the middle of podunk nowhere, that's expensive. And when, again, gas is not necessarily cheap. It's not terrible at the moment, but it's not necessarily cheap. And I just saw the diesel is back up over $4 a gallon, or at least was a day or two ago when I noticed last. Thank God I don't own a diesel anymore. And eggs and milk and shit. You run to the store for a loaf of bread, a dozen eggs, and a gallon of milk, and you're $15, $20 if you're lucky. So why in God's name are things that high? We can point fingers. We can all have our guesses or our hypothesis as to why. But much like I'm kind of stumbling at the moment, I think we all know who to blame for stumbling on these things. I hate to say it. I really am not trying to be mean, but good Lord. When the commander-in-chief can't even form a comprehensive sentence. Like I said, I ramble. Don't get me wrong, but man, the couple of clips that I've seen over the last couple of days, guys, this has gotten terrible. Terrible. It's just not getting any better. And why anybody thinks that this is a good option, including the DNC, is beyond me. Now, the scary part about that to me is that there are a couple of names in the hat that may be issued in last minute. Now, if I believe we're, I don't know, 200 and, off the top of my head, 265-ish days away from the election. Doesn't seem like a lot of time, but it also seems like a lot of time. And of course, the word on the street is, y'all know who, Michelle Obama. Now, for anyone who doesn't know me, to hear me say that and to hear me think, or to hear me say that I think that may or may not be a good thing. Like I said, if you don't know me, I can see how that could be misconstrued as I don't like that person because it's that person. For those of you who do know me, or at least are familiar with my views and my work, I don't dislike that person because of who it is or whether or not I believe that is actually who that person is. That has nothing to do with it. I honestly couldn't care less about color or affiliation or the fact that she's a woman, well, allegedly, or any of that. My fear with that is that so many people put her on a pedestal simply because she was the first lady and they think she did some good things with like the school lunch program, which she did not, just for the record. And, or, anything to do with school or any of the stuff she did. That's not a good reason to make her president. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, she has gone on the record saying she hates politics. So that's a thing, wouldn't you say? I don't, in all fairness, I'm certain that Donald J. doesn't necessarily like politics either. Nobody likes politics. Let's be honest. At the end of the day, nobody likes godforsaken politics. It's all a shit show. It's all a racket. Who can suck whose trailer hitch the best for the most money and get whatever, ulterior motive that they may or may not have paid for and or supported. It's all a crooked shit show, and we all know it. What we need, and this is the problem. Here's the problem for me. What we need is someone who isn't a dirtbag. That is a problem because all of them are dirtbags. That's a problem. So if we need someone who isn't a dirtbag that will have the country, and by country I mean the people and its property, in its best interests, then if there's none of them that aren't a dirtbag, then we have a problem. Things are not going to end well. Do I think that there are certain folks that may have their hat in the ring that are less of a dirtbag? Sure. Obviously all of them have at least one good point and lots of bad. The problem is none of them have a lot of good and a little bad. Unfortunately, this is going to come down to the same thing as it's been for the last several presidential election cycles, and it's going to be the lesser of two evils. And that is not the way we should be running business. It cannot, and I've said this before, it is not sustainable. We cannot continue to just vote on the lesser of two evils because that's our only option. And then we have to hope that they have our best interests in mind or at heart, because none of them do. All this mess going on with the border and all this mess going on with pumping billions of dollars that we do not have into Ukraine, into Israel, into Christ, you name it. Everybody and their dog is on this, 1099 payday list. We don't have it to give. Not only do we not have it to give, we are not taking care of who actually matters first, is us. Because at the end of the day, we're just going to be broke and shit out of luck like we already are. And that cannot continue. It's unsustainable. I've said it 1,000 times, and I'm going to keep saying it, unfortunately. Something within the establishment has to change. Unfortunately, that's not... I hate to say it, because I'm going to get heat. Well, I'm going to get heat no matter what, so whatever. Won't be the first time I've been canceled. Won't be the first time I don't give a shit. You guys know that. This is the Blowed Out podcast, not the I give a shit one way or another podcast. So, that being said, draining the swamp includes everyone who's calling for the swamp to be drained. That's just the way it works. Anyone calling for that is part of the swamp, whether they like to admit it or not. And I hate to say it because I know everybody's going to have their own opinion, and that's, at the end of the day, all this is, so fair enough. I don't fault you for yours. You shouldn't fault me for mine. But the swamp means all of them. The swamp means anybody who's trying to make money or gain power, and, for some dumb shit, because they want to have their ass slapped when they come off the podium, like Good Game Coach or whatever. It's just dumb. When somebody stands up and finally says, I don't give a shit about the rest of the world, I just give a shit about us, then they'll have my full support. I understand that to a point, things cannot work that way. I understand that we have to be diplomatic and, blah, 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 blah. But we don't have to be to the point that we are. We don't have to be to the point where we are broke as shit and cannot even take care of our own folks. We just don't. We don't. We choose to be, until someone stands up and says, to hell with the World Economic Forum, to hell with the EU, to hell with all this shit. We literally run it back to, we're us. If you want to do business with us, cool. Tell us what you want or tell us what you got, and we'll sit down and have a chat about it. Same goes for us. If you have something we need, which realistically nobody does. They do now because we've allowed it to get that way. But at the end of the day, we are absolutely capable of being self-sustainable. We just choose not to because it's the right thing to do. And we get money from folks who, we buy their stuff. We make it seem like we need their stuff. And then we get a little extra on the side. So, hell yeah, China or Taiwan or Mexico or, Russia or Ukraine, Germany, whoever. Pick your poison. We are capable of being self-sustainable. We have dug ourselves into a hole where we are not. That doesn't mean we can't. And somebody needs to finally step the hell up and say it. Now, the shitty part about saying that is that I don't have any more answers than theoretically anyone else. And that sucks. Don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily want the answers, but for me to sit here and say that somebody needs to have the answers and I don't, that sucks. But someone somewhere, or a collective someone that isn't these dirtbag bureaucrats, has to have a better answer than the one currently being given. Somebody. We've got all these highfalutin elites with a shit ton of power and a shit ton of reach, and they're just kind of, kicking back, waiting to see what happens. And that's fair, and that's fine. I don't blame them. But there's a lot of things, a lot more that could be being done that isn't. And it's unfortunately, at the end of the day, it's not helping anyone but themselves, which seems to be a recurring theme. That theme is not my circus, not my monkeys, which is the one I'm going to take right now. I think that's enough Hannity, Beck, doom scrolling for this episode. I know. Some of you like to hear what I have to say, and others take the same stance as me, and you don't want to even hear any of that bullshit because it's so ridiculous. So, on that note, maybe we should scroll some headlines, because, man, you can't make some of this shit up, guys. Oh my God. What the hell? Oh, apparently, KJP, who, I can't even remember her first name now, but you know who I'm talking about. The chick who I openly consider to be a dumb shithead. I love how she just backpedals and dances around anybody's questions about good old Biden's mental health and his ability to even have a clue what planet he's on. Good Lord. Apparently he was just in Vegas talking about speaking with the dead French prime minister. My God. How long are they going to let this guy just keep going, guys? I don't get it. I really don't get it. You know, I love this word, but I know some of you don't appreciate it, but the bumfuckery is just ridiculous. He doesn't even know what planet he's on, guys. He has no clue. None. Not even a little. I don't know how many different ways I can say none. He literally has no clue where he's at. And if he didn't have someone to help him off the stage, he couldn't even handle that. Oh, for the love of God. Oh, Russian military aircraft detected in Alaskan airspace. Not the first time. Sadly, not uncommon. However, why is it just, oh, there they are. I don't know how, but the market's up, all of them. NASDAQ, S&P, they all closed up today. Probably won't tomorrow, but here's hoping. And in an unrelated story, my CBD stocks are still in the toilet. Don't make that mistake, guys. Just use it. Don't buy into it. But that's just me. Maybe I picked the wrong one. Now, let's see. How weed affects your workout? Yeah, that's everything we need to know. Let's see. Fetterman calls out ceasefire protesters for not demanding Hamas. Sorry, it's a little slow to load. Christ. Oh, for not demanding Hamas surrender. Again, when are we going to learn? We just need to not be worried about that. It's not our problem. It's really not. Oh, you know what? Maybe headlines were a bad idea. 'Cause it just doesn't get any better. Oh, for the love of God. Doesn't get any better. Yeah, obviously, again, like I spoke about earlier, it's not going to get any better for the next, I don't know what, 7 months, we'll call it, ish. I don't know. Maybe I'm really bad at math with I openly admit that, but it's not going to get any better. They're just going to keep doing this dumb shit. Oh, Lord. Lord, Lord, Lord. Why? What do we do? I did see, you know what we need is I saw a truck the other day. I was going to pick up the kids, and I saw a truck running down the road, and now I'm going to screw up the name. Damn it. Anyhow, I probably shouldn't mention the name anyhow, but it was random name, like, Blockatech, let's say. Screw Pile Systems. That's what it said on this truck. And I thought to myself, goddamn it, that is refreshing. It's about time somebody come up with a system for screw piles. Otherwise, everybody's just kind of doing their own thing. Nobody's taking their turn at the right time. And I thought, finally, somebody come up with a system for a screw pile. Now, presumably, that has something to do with construction, and which I will openly admit to knowing very little about. I assume it's something similar to a helical pile or pylon. I don't know. However, it's funny because I thought, you know what? We need a system for the screw pile in this country. Originally, of course, I thought something sexual because I'm a child. And that's fine. But we definitely need someone to come up with a system for the screw pile going on in this country. Again, I wish that was me, because whoever can figure it out is going to hold all the cards, but I'll openly admit it isn't going to be me. In all fairness, I have my own screw piles to deal with, and thankfully, I'm just a bit more coherent than our commander-in-chief at the moment, because I can barely figure out how to deal with those screw piles, let alone the countries or the world. We are in a global screw pile. Now I'm just kind of hooked on that word. But, it is what it is. I'm just going to go ahead and close on that, guys, for this time. I've got some arrangements to bring in Maddie without a natty here in the next couple days. We'll bust out another episode for you guys and bring you some good content for episode 2 of season 2. Like always, if you guys would like to interject, if there's something you'd like us to talk about or investigate, if you'd like to support the show, or if you'd like to advertise your business, you can always hit us up, blowedoutpodcast@gmail.com. Of course, you can find and message us on Facebook, Instagram, oh Lord, I believe X. Hell, I don't know. I'm pretty sure we're about everywhere as everywhere can be. But give me a shout. Let me know what you're thinking. Tell me what you think I'm doing wrong. Tell me what you think I'm doing right. There's a few of you who often reach out, and I appreciate and love you. Like I said, happy birthday to us. Thanks everybody for sticking on the ride, for keeping your hands and feet inside the ride at all times. Like I said, holler if you want a shirt, if you want some swag. Just hit us up. Let me know. And then we will talk to you soon. Okay, guys? Hope everybody's doing well. Keep staying up. Treat everybody well. Try and be a decent human. Love you guys. Cheers.